Hey y'all, welcome and welcome back to my channel. It's me, KiaSimone, and listen, I know I have been MIA for a minute. I did go to Essence Fest, which was an absolute blast, and I'm gonna tell y'all all about it. And then I came home and got sick as a dog. I truly feel like I done climbed from up under a hospital bed, child, but here I am. We got a bunch of episodes to catch up on, and I'm sick. And I'm sick and tired. So it ain't gonna be too much of dancing around this bullshit. I'm gonna tell you just how I feel about these motherfuckers today, okay? Now I'm gonna tell you the long and short for me, before we even get off into the details, is I'm real sick of Kimmy and Maurice with this bullshit, okay? They got this whole farce of a marriage, and they are insisting on using this child as a source of deflection, so we ain't gotta really talk about how fucked up their marriage is, and I'm tired of it. But let's just get into it before we do. Please be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe if you have not already. Now let's get into this bullshit. I got 3 whole episodes to get through, so I'm sticking and moving. Episode 12 kicks off with Stormy and her family still brawling. I don't give a damn. They've been brawling. They gonna be brawling. See y'all at the next family reunion. Then we move on to Martell in therapy, where he needs to be. He's in the therapy complaining about the transactional relationship him and his mama got. He ain't got nobody to keep the kids. His mama's supposed to keep the kids, but she don't want to keep the kids, and he paying her bills to keep the kids. But since she don't feel like keeping the kids, he don't feel like paying her bills. Well, maybe you should go ahead and call Mel and get you one of them 22 babysitters. He's expressing all of his concerns about adjusting to being a single parent and childcare and having the support system he needs. Well, baby, adapt. Okay, this is the life you chose. You set this up. Nobody did this to you. You did this for yourself. When you went on around in Atlanta, you should have talked to Todd. You was around there cracking jokes on Todd. You should have had a couple conversations with him. Ask him how you get this daddy daycare shit set up. Then we see all the Scotts going on a double date, and child, they're going to some location where you paint dishes and stuff. Well, the instructor lady starts explaining to them that after you paint all these designs on these dishes, you can take them home and use them, but they are not going to be dishwasher safe. You have to hand wash these things. Well, Maurice lets it be known that ain't none of his problem. That's Kimmy's problem. She is the peasant around here. She does all the housework. You ain't need to tell me none of that shit. Well, Kimmy barely pipes up to say, well, I think Monster could stand to see you wash a dish or two. Yeah, he could stand to see you lead by example. Well, Kimmy making her comment led them directly into an argument about their issues of managing Monster in the household. Well, here's my thing. First of all, it pisses me off that every single week, on every single episode, they are carrying on about this damn child. Imagine how disheartening it has to be a teenage boy already trying to come into your own, trying to learn yourself, trying to learn what it is to be a young man and have a half-ass example. And you have to deal with your parents going on TV every motherfucking week to make you the problem because of all their failures and their marriage. I'm tired of this bullshit. They want to talk about this child being so problematic when the truth is y'all are problematic as parents and as partners. And you're using this child to deflect from the fact that your marriage is a house of cards. I'm sick of them. Marcel and Tisha looking at them like they shocked that there's trouble in paradise. And they're trying to understand what exactly is y'all's issue with the child. Like, what are you saying the child ain't doing? And come to find out the problem ain't the child. The problem is the child's daddy. And Marcel said, well, sir, you got to step up and back her up. You can't just stand in a corner and be like, oh, well, you told him to wash the dishes, he didn't do it. I don't know what to tell you. But rather than actually take any accountability or own his responsibility, Maurice gives this whole deflecting speech about why he does not need to actually parent. Maurice is trifling and tragic, and he needs to get him a one-way ticket to hell. I'm sick of him. So Tisha jumps into the conversation to explain to Kimmy that she feels like Kimmy should have an open relationship to be able to have an open conversation with Kiuwha about Monster and disciplining him and whatever his needs are. Maurice jumps in to say, well, he's been fostering that relationship for years, but he feels like the issue is that Kiuwha has moved forward. Kimmy has not. I see, you know what, I gotta move forward to a whole nother damn man because you ain't gonna play in my face. Oh God. Maurice is literally a boy in a suit. He makes me sick. He is the worst kind of man. Like, he is the guy that makes you go pray and say, Lord, I see what you have done for others, and please don't do it for me. And then we move on and meet Martell's little brother. Who knew? The way he behaved, I thought his ass was the only child. Well, we meet his brother, who looks like he is fresh out the trapping off a PO visit. I mean, this man just looked like a summer full of fun and bad decisions, okay? And apparently, That's exactly who he is. He had gotten in some trouble because he used to be in them streets, him and Martell apparently, but Martell had got up out them streets, and so he had gotten some trouble. He had to go away. He came back, and now he trying to get his shit together. He done got married. He trying to settle down, trying to pay his PO and all that. Well, they have a whole bonding conversation about what it was like growing up without a father, essentially raising themselves, and how their lives went in two different directions. And Martell attributes them going in two different directions to a recruiter that spoke into his life when he was in high school, I believe. And the whole scene kind of just speaks to the importance of positive influences and role models in young people's lives, especially like these young men who do not have a male role model to guide them. And speaking of young men who don't have a male role model to guide them, we move on to a family meeting between Kimmy, Maurice, Kiowa, and their son, Monster. So they start this little meeting out with Maurice filling Kiowa in on his whole boot camp program that he has Monster in. Well, sis is unimpressed. She said it don't sound like he doing nothing but getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning. So what else is going on? And she starts explaining to her son that, listen, in regard to your chores, it is your responsibility to get that done. You just have to show up. So as soon as Kiowa starts explaining to Monster that he does have responsibilities when it comes to his chores and things, Maurice pipes in, why are you looking like that? Why do you look like that? How about because y'all are having an entire meeting about him being the problem? And not only are y'all having an entire meeting about him being the problem when the problem is really you motherfuckers, you're patronizing as you don't listen to this child. You actually talk at him and expect him to show up with resolutions for how you should show up as a parent. I'm sick of this motherfucker. So then they asked him about his grades, and apparently his grades are slipping. He said he knows that he needs to do the work. He's just not motivated at all. It sounds like depression to me. It sounds like the child is either dealing with some form of depression or some other emotional stagnancy that he does not know how to process on his own. And he's not getting any help doing it. He's getting a bunch of judgment about why are you looking like this and why are you showing up like this and why aren't you doing this? How about because he doesn't have any motherfucking guidance? How about that? So when Monster starts to explain that he's dealing with a lack of motivation, Kiuwha says, well, I think you and I should go to dinner so that we can discuss it further because I want to hear more about this from you. So Maurice jumps in to tell him how he has to be motivated and he's running out of time. And you know what? Speaking of running out of time, how about you go do some of that work that I know you have to do? I said, not the very thing Kimmy been asking this motherfucker to do for months on end. Not you trying to impress Kiuwha, and now you can be a daddy and tell him go do what you gotta do. But Kimmy, get your ass to kiss. Oh, okay. So after Monster leaves the room, Kiuwha mentioned that maybe he's missing his mom. Maybe that's what's going on. Maybe that's the emotional stagnancy, that he misses his mom and he doesn't really know what to do with those feelings. Maurice said, yeah, that could be true. I mean, because you baby him and I'm asking him to grow up, but you can't show him how to save his life or your marriage. I'm sick of him. And even Kimmy tried to explain to Maurice that I feel like you expect him to evolve into this young man without having all the proper tools. You cannot expect him to know things that you will not teach him. She tried to explain to him that you need to be more involved. You need to be more hands-on. You need to spend more time. This motherfucker said I do spend time. I pick him up and drop him off to and from school every day. And I talk to him on the way. I spend time. It's no wonder to me your wife got to fake it with you. If trifling had a face, it would be Maurice. I don't know how you get turned on by this bullshit. So we see Kiuwha and Monster go to dinner and they talk one-on-one, and she's asking him about feeling like he has enough time with his dad. Does he feel like he has anybody he can talk to and open up to? And he said he feels like, you know, there are people there that he can open up to. He just isn't comfortable opening up. So Kiuwha made the suggestion that maybe she could come around more and asked him how he felt about that. And he said he would like that. And you could see him just light up at the idea of seeing his mom more. And she said, well, how often would you like to see me? And he said, as much as you can get in your schedule. In other words, mama, come get me. Meanwhile, Maurice and Kimmy still sitting in the same damn spot going back and forth about whether they should go to counseling and whether they should go to counseling with or without Kimmy. And he said, all right, well, since you feel like you don't need to go to counseling, I guess that means you ain't a parent. You know what? This is a master gaslighting motherfucker. Maurice said, yeah, since you don't want to go to counseling with us, maybe you and Kiuwha could have more meetings. Kimmy said, for what? He said, she said she want to be more present. Maybe y'all could work through all that trauma and drama y'all got in y'all's relationship over the years. Kimmi said, I don't have a past to delve into. I don't know what you're talking about. I started today. My history starts today. Maurice said, maybe we could just discuss it. You know, just get it off the table since it's still on the table. She said, there's no reason to. It's the past. There's no need to bring it up. He said, well, that tells me you still got a problem. Well, damn. Now, this whole disagreement they have and carries us from episode 12 to episode 13, where they open up in the middle of the same argument, and Kimmi wants to know from Maurice, what exactly do you think I'm not over? He said, I don't think you over wanting an apology from Kiuwha. Kimmi said that her issue is she feels like Kiuwha allowed and perpetuated a lie about her. And they show the clip of Kiuwha a couple years ago sitting in Kimmi and Maurice's face and telling them that she felt like how they got together was sketchy and that she felt like a line had been crossed. Now, in my opinion, that's not perpetuating a lie. That's her telling her experience from her perspective. From her perspective, from my side of the table, I don't know what y'all had going on over there, but over here, it felt like some sketchy shit. It felt like some odd timing, and it felt like a line or two was crossed because she and Maurice were not divorced yet. Now, here's my thing. Kiuwha married to that man for a long time. Kiuwha knows that man. And I think for her to say, I don't know what he was telling you, but we weren't divorced yet, it leans into, I know this man ain't always honest. I know that he will sell you a half story in order to get what he wants. So I'm aware that maybe he didn't tell you the up and up truth. However, from my perspective, let's just be real clear that it felt very sketchy. It felt like it crossed the line because me and this man were not divorced yet. And in that clip, Kimmi says to Kiuwha, we didn't date until y'all were wholly divorced. Now, that's a damn lie because she sat up in either this episode or the next in one of these upcoming scenes and told Mel he was not divorced when we met and started dating. The papers were signed. They were waiting on them to be processed, but he wasn't divorced. And she's also made that clear in other instances. So Kimmi is sitting here telling Maurice that she feels like it's an integrity issue, that Kiuwha's integrity is in question because she perpetuated this belief about Kimmi. We've seen Kimmi sit up and talk to the former sister-in-law, who is also her girlfriend, who she used to hook her up with Maurice. We've also heard her tell the story of how she used her son as a pawn to get next to Maurice because Maurice was a barber and she took her son to Maurice to get a haircut so that she could get next to Maurice. But you coming for Kiuwha's integrity, girl, go to hell. Kimmi's essentially upset with Maurice because she feels like he should have corrected Kiuwha. Well, ma'am, have you ever considered that maybe the reason he won't is because she ain't wrong? Maybe he knows that he didn't do shit on the up and up. And maybe he knows I'm fucking with that lady because if I go to her with this bullshit, she gonna pull my card. And since we done got away with whatever we gonna get away with, we need to just go and lay down somewhere. Maurice said, I handled the situation the best I could. He said, I handled it with kid gloves and you wanted me to be more stern. She said, no, your approach was not to approach. He said, no, I approached it, just not like you wanted me to. Maurice said, what the real problem is deep down in your heart, you have an unaddressed, unresolved issue. And Kimmi's response is, well, the funny thing is, I've seen you in business decide that you don't like how a person behaves or how they do business or they weren't integral and you decided you were never doing business with them again. Well, baby, this ain't business. This is a baby. I just think Kimmi got a whole lot of nerve to be coming for anybody's integrity when her hands are clearly not clean. Like, miss me with the bullshit. I don't care how well she presents and that she chooses her words and she's soft-spoken and she doesn't allow herself to get upset or engage in disagreements and drama. You can be serene and full of shit at the same time. And Kimmi has proven that she has a propensity to project a public image that does not match her private truth. We have heard her say on the reunion that they had a whole meeting about not letting the public know exactly what's going on in her house, that Maurice don't come home at night. She is carrying on about Kiuwha's lack of integrity and she doesn't have integrity when you admittedly used the relationship that you had with this man's sister-in-law and your child as a pawn to get next to a man who you knew was going through a divorce. So while you carrying on about that woman's integrity, you need to check your damn self. Maurice said, well, the only resolution I got is for you to talk to her and not me. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to plan dinner for y'all. You said y'all need to go to counseling and you didn't want to go to counseling with me, so maybe you can go have a conversation with her. So then we move on and we see that Tisha is having a photo shoot for her daughters and their hair care products. They are absolutely beautiful little girls. And it looks like they got some prepackaged products that they're just slapping labels on. Girl. Kiki stops by this photo shoot and Tisha is telling her how she's going to be getting the key to the city in Mobile, Alabama. Kiki upset because she didn't get a damn invitation. Tisha said, this is your invitation. I mean, it's in a couple days, but just come on. So then we move on. We see Mel and Kimmy getting together for a spa day. Mel is taking Kimmy to get a massage and other spa treatments to celebrate her wrapping up her treatment. So Kimmy shares with Mel the whole issue with not getting as much help around the house as she needs, and that Kiuwha had come recently, that they've had these meetings, and that she and Kiuwha are doing better, but they'll probably never be besties because of all the issues that they've had in the past, like her making implications that I interfered in their marriage. Mel said, well, do you feel like you interfered in their marriage? Kimmy said, of course not. Mel said, okay. Mel said, well, you know, I've never actually asked you about it. I've heard the conversation. I've heard the little statements swirling around, but I just never really knew what the dynamic was. So were she and Maurice divorced when you and Maurice met? She said, no, they weren't divorced. Now, the papers were signed. They were just waiting on them to be processed. So Mel said, so then why does she think that you interfered in the marriage? Kimmy said, well, even though they had signed the papers, she was talking about reconciliation. And so that's where that came from. Mel said, oh. She said it was over by the time that I met them. And my problem is I feel like she made these implications and innuendos and she just let that implication run wild. Well, they changed the subject and they start discussing the whole Black Expo that's coming up. And Kimmy is saying, you know, Mel, we kind of worried about whether you're going to participate or not. Mel said, well, yeah, y'all should be, because I got two issues, money and Martell. Now, even if they clear up the whole money thing and not knowing what they're going to do with these sponsorships, I ain't really with Martell like that, all right? She said they're in the middle of their custody battle and she don't want nothing to do with him like that. So we move on and we see Tisha is getting her hair braided, waiting to meet with Kiki to talk about the fact that Kiki missed her whole Key to the City event. Well, apparently we did too, because Carlos thought we want to see Tisha get her hair braided and go back and forth with her Hamburg-ass cousin more than we wanted to see a whole damn event. Kiki come busting in like she just came from a damn Prince tribute. I don't know what in the purple dress hell she had on, but she comes in, she is sweating and carrying on, but they gonna have to change her medication. Tisha looking at her like, change your medication? The hell wrong with you? She said it's the methadone that she apparently decided to do outpatient rehab, and so they gave her the medicine to keep her from having the withdrawals and shit, but that is causing her to break out in sweats. And so I don't know. Tisha said, yeah, I'm real happy she getting help for her problem and all that, but I got a problem with her. And the issue is that I invited this heifer to celebrate me and the heifer didn't show up. Kiki said, well, listen, I would have if I could have, but I couldn't. Shit, I ain't had a ride and ain't nobody had a car for me to drive, so I couldn't make it. What you want from me? Tisha said that sound real good and that might have been all right if this weren't your pattern. She said every time you got something to do or somewhere to be, something comes up. So then we see that Mel stops by Chris and Nell's house. She stops by to talk to them following them being subpoenaed to court for her and Martell's custody battle. Apparently Martell had them subpoenaed to testify on his behalf. And we see Martell visiting with his mom to discuss the issue. He said that they had a big showdown in court. He said he, Melody, his mama, Chris, and her brother Marcus all had to take the stand. I said, just what in the Matlock hell do y'all have going on? Why is y'all harassing all these damn people with y'all drama? Now, Martell, so damn crazy, he got the nerve to be mad with his mama that, yeah, she came to court and yeah, she testified, but you didn't stick it to Mel like you should have. I said, what? Martell said for her to get on the stand and not say much hurt him to his core. You cannot be that hell-bent on destroying your ex that when your mama won't be in cahoots with you and your bullshit, that you are hurt to your core. If you don't go talk to your damn therapist, that lady says she is not jeopardizing her relationship with her damn grandkids for you and your bullshit. So back at Chris and Nail's house, Mel is mentioning how her attorney was asking during the court proceedings if Martell has to move again or how many times he's moved because the house he's living in is listed for sale by Chris Fletcher. Chris said, yeah, it is under contract. It's getting ready to sell. And she said, oh, that must be why he was asking me for attorney's fees. He must need the money. Ma'am, it is highly typical to ask for attorney's fees when you have to sue someone. It's called being made whole, meaning I've incurred these costs that I would not have otherwise incurred had you been cooperative or not violated the law or whatever happened that caused me to have to file suit against you. So for me to be made whole, I am asking that not only is the issue remedied, but that I also be recompensed for the cost that I incurred for having to pursue legal action. Nail said, well, is he broke? Now, see, you getting messy, Miss Nail. You getting real messy lately. Mel said, I don't know, because I don't keep up with his finances. Well, you sure? She's in the confessional saying, you know, when we were married, he enjoyed the benefit of having a dual income household. And now I guess he's having some cash flow issues, because why else would he want some of the money that I'm making? I wish your attorney would explain this to you before you come sit on TV and say the shit you say. Between Martell and his mama brought up that, Mel suggested that y'all keep the kids for 6 months at a time. Martell said, yeah, I thought she was nuts. I thought she done lost her damn mind. What you mean? If I want to keep them for 6 months and then you keep 6 months at a time. Martell said, if that's how she feel and she don't want them, just give them to me. Well, Nail said, well, who won? Mel said, well, nobody. I mean, it's still the same dynamic. It's a week on, a week off. She said, but I will say I am appealing the judge's ruling because there was clearly some bias happening. She said, don't you know that in her final ruling, she tried to say that it's clear to the court that the father has the best interest of the children, but the court can't say the same about the mother. Girl, damn. Baby, if she wrote that in her opinion, she ain't tried to say she said it. That shit had Nail gagged. Yeah. You want to juice some tea? That shit is hot, ain't it? She said, do you know why she said that? Because when I changed my number in October, I didn't give it to him. Mel said, but according to the Madison County Parenting Clause and all kind of ABCs and 1, 2, 3s, that the other parent is not supposed to be harassing this parent, but we had just told the judge that he followed me on a date recording me. Wasn't that the same date that we saw you had told the man the who, what, when, where, and why to show up? Is that the same date? Nell said, well, what did the judge have to say about all that? She said nothing, not one word. Nell said, oh, he probably made the judge feel sorry for him. See, this is where friends get dangerous because they will not tell you the truth. And the thing people gonna learn the hard way is the court of public opinion will get you locked up in the court of law. So we move on to the ending of this episode, which is Kimmy and Kiowa going to dinner. So they start the conversation talking about the state of affairs with Monster and that the conclusion that Kiowa has come to is that she does need to be more present. And the first question Kimmy got is, what does that look like? What does you being here more look like? She gonna be all up in your house? And then Kimmy shifts the conversation to the issue between she and Kiowa. And she starts explaining to Kiowa how in the beginning of their relationship, even when Kiowa wasn't very happy with her, that Kiowa didn't realize that Kimmy was being her advocate. She was advocating for Kiowa. Girl, what? She said, you know, I would be trying to make Maurice understand a single mom's perspective, and this is what a single mom is thinking. And, you know, I would be thinking that she's upset with me, and she doesn't even realize that I'm advocating for her with Maurice. Girl, go to hell. So Kimmy goes on to explain that she still has this issue with Kiowa because of the things that Kiowa implied, like I was the reason that y'all got a divorce. Kiowa ain't never implied that. You full of shit. Kiowa implied that they were going through a divorce, they were at a point of possible reconciliation, and that you came in with your own motives and it derailed whatever projection they had for reconciliation. Kiowa, so what did I say? She said, well, you know, you said things that made it seem like I was dating your husband while y'all were still happily married and living together. Kimmy said she feels like that's where the crux of the issue is between she and Kiowa, is that you perpetuated this idea that it was me that caused y'all's marriage to derail and fall apart when we all know that that wasn't the case. Kiuwha looked at her and said, I don't know what you want me to say. Kimmy said, well, there was opportunity for you to say, no, I didn't say she was a side chick. Kiuwha said, but I never said you were a side chick. Kimmy said, well, I mean, no, you didn't say it, but surely you heard that those things were being said about me. Why the fuck would you expect the ex-wife, who clearly feels a way about how you and her ex-husband got together, to clear your name? Why? Kiuwha said, look, I don't know what you want me to tell you, because I don't do all a bunch of interviews and talking to blogs and all that and I for sure didn't know that you thought I was responsible for the whole world calling you a side chick. And Kimmy, after using her son and her relationship with this man's sister-in-law to get up under this man, has the audacity to look in his ex-wife's face and say, I just think it's a lack of integrity for you to let that narrative run. Girl, you got some self-righteous nerve. And that leads us right into this week's episode, where they continue with this conversation. Well, Kiuwha was completely unmoved. She hit Kimmy with the customer service 101. I am sorry that you feel that way, but unfortunately, there's nothing I can do about that. People say a lot of things, and I don't have nothing to do with none of what they say. So Kimmy starts that damn slow talking about, well, no, we don't have control over what people say, but some of the stuff that we actually say, like, for example, y'all started dating before we were divorced. Ma'am, didn't you just tell Mel that? She said, people feel that you're saying that as though I was the person that caused your divorce. No, people don't. Nobody is saying you caused the divorce between Maurice and Kiuwha. What people are saying is they question your character a little bit because it seemed like you jumped the gun in a desperate effort to have this man. She said some of the implications that were made allow people to run off with a narrative that was simply not true. Kiuwha said, well, I really don't know how I'm responsible for that. Kiuwha said, I got an inside voice too, girl. Who you playing with? So Kimmy changes her angle and she starts trying to appeal to the mother in Kiuwha and said that they had made Monster and protecting Monster and the image of Monster's parents the priority. But she also has a son, and she doesn't want her son looking at her like, my mom did what? Did you think about that when you used your son to get up under Maurice? See, miss me with the bullshit. Kimmy has a lot of the same accountability issues that Maurice has. She just puts it in a prettier, more presentable package. She said, I had to take a lot of heat for something that I didn't do, and my son had to see that. My son had to see that so that we could protect your son. Kiuwha said, oh, you want me to give a damn? Kimmy said, you know, I made my best effort to not belabor the point, and it was Maurice that wanted to keep things like this and things like this, and that's your damn problem, because that's your damn husband. If you decided to go along with this man and his whole plan to make you the martyr, that's your problem. Kimmy said, I felt like I took a ding for the whole group so we could keep everybody safe but Kimmy. Kiuwha said, okay. Because how the hell is that her problem? You signed up for that. So Kimmy is just sitting there just like, Kiuwha said, I mean, well, listen, I hear you. I understand where you're coming from, how you feel, but I don't know how you figure that's my problem. Kiuwha said, hell, I didn't even know you had these feelings. I mean, how am I supposed to know that you had this feeling and you never told me? Kimmy said, you never knew that they were calling me a side chick? She said, no, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is I didn't know you thought I was responsible for them calling you a side chick. Kiuwha went on to say, all I can say is growth. You know, growth has brought me to a lot of enlightenments, not just about this situation, but about life in general. And nobody's perfect. She said, we go through a lot of things in life and they affect different people differently. And so if you feel that I should have said something differently, then, you know, for the record, I never said Kimmy was a side chick, if that makes everybody happy. Kimmy in the confessional said she thought the conversation went well. It was one of those, if I hurt your feelings, if you feel like I said some I shouldn't have said kind of apologies, but that's the best we gonna get, so. So then we move on and we see Stormy getting together with Mel for lunch or brunch or some meal of the day. And for some reason, this girl pulls up to some damn deli cafe looking place being chauffeured in a Rolls Royce. It's just, if do too damn much with a person. So Stormy's driver lets her out and she goes sashaying into this empty ass restaurant. Just girl. So Mel comes in and Stormy, oh, it went down in the DM, didn't it? And there's like, why is y'all playing in our face? Pretending like y'all was in each other DMs to plan this. This is y'all damn production schedule. Please go to hell. So Stormy starts the conversation trying to get in Mel's business about, you know, how you doing? Because I know you said you were going through a lot and I just kind of took that to heart. I was like, damn, the court staff. Mel knows she just want to get in her business. Mel said, I'm good. Stormy brought up, well, you know, it's good to see you one-on-one. Mel said, yeah, this is the restart. We're starting over here today. Stormy said, yeah, so I just gotta know. Here we go with the bullshit. Stormy said, you know what I be thinking about you? I be thinking that sometimes you choose to shut down harder conversations because it's easier to just shut it down than to go through it. Mel said, well, if that were the case, I probably wouldn't have hosted that tea party, which was a bunch of hard conversations, and I probably wouldn't be here today, but here I am. She said, matter of fact, based on what was shared at the tea party, I probably shouldn't be here because your mama let it be known that she don't like me. So since you done got your question off, let me ask you a question. Did you know how your mama felt about me when you met me? Stormy, Lord, takes us down the rabbit hole into the sob story of her mama. And my mom is just someone I can't control. And she doesn't get along with anyone. She doesn't like anyone. She didn't like Courtney when he and I first started dating. Her own sister. She just gives everybody a hard time. Stormy said the thing with her mom is she don't like nobody until they do something to live up to some unspoken expectation in her head for her to let her wall down. And the one thing I've never been able to do is change her mind. Mel say, I asked you all that, girl. I asked you, did you know how your mama felt about me when you met me? I don't want to hear all that bunch of damn stories. Save that for Steve Wilkos or somebody. Stormy said, I knew her opinion of you from television. But my mama didn't know you to judge you, so she shouldn't have had an opinion about you. So you knew she didn't like her. Girl, save this bullshit. Stormy said, I can't stop her from saying what she has to say, but my thing is I don't have to agree with her. And Mel said, well, no, I don't think that you agree with her. She said, but coming out of the whole parking lot pimping situation that she had with Miss Wanda, she can't really afford to be beefing with nobody's mama no more, and you damn right about that. Well, they come to the conclusion that they have cleared the air and there shouldn't be any more weird energy between them, so they should be good to go at group events in the future. Please, good, gone. So we move on to see the group getting together to view the venue where the Black Expo is going to be held. Tisha said, aside from viewing the venue, the primary purpose of this meeting is to let the folks know that Mel ain't gonna be there, but she does have a replacement. Stormy. Well, Martell came into the meeting worried about the wrong he looking at Tisha in her damn jeans, but I can see somebody been in the weight room. Well, now, I love Tisha, okay? And Tisha is a badass woman, but what we ain't gonna do is play with these delusions of grandeur, because she ain't been in no weight room. She been in the operating room, but it ain't been no damn weight room. Tisha ate that shit up, too. Tisha flipping her hair and grinning and skinning and she, yes, I know I look good in these jeans. And speaking of operating rooms, is Martell getting fillers? I don't know what's going on, but please leave y'all faces alone. So they had the whole discussion with the group about Mel not participating, and Martell is disappointed. Just, you don't get enough of seeing her at the courthouse. Like, this is laughable, because you cannot be dragging somebody in and out of court and then be disappointed that you don't get to see them in social settings. And she only isn't participating because I'm here. What? So we move on from viewing the venue to seeing Maurice finally taking his ex-wife and his current wife's advice. He's going to spend some time with his son. He and Monster are going out to play basketball. And for all the Maurice be talking, Monster whooped his ass on that court. Now, after he gets his ass whooped on the court, he decides to check where Monster's mind is at in regard to the whole family meeting that they had. And Monster said, you know, he felt like it was cool, it was needed, but it gets boring after a while hearing the same shit over and over. Maurice said, well, you tired of giving the lectures and I'm tired of hearing them, but the one realization I've come to is that I've been treating you like you're me. And I have to understand that you're not me. We two different people, we grew up in two different circumstances, and we need two different sets of things. Maurice does conclude the conversation with opening up their lines of communication. Maurice said, listen, if I'm talking to you in a way or asking you to do things in a way that does not work for you, I need you to be open enough to say to me, that don't work for me. Monster said he can do that. He said, now, since you said you want me to speak freely and we got this open communication, you want me to ask questions, here's a question. Can we get something out to eat when we leave here? I said, now, Kimmy, is you seasoning your pots? I don't know what's going on, but this young man said, find me something to eat before you take me in the house, because I can't do it. So then we move on and we see Courtney going to visit his mom, and she's a beautiful lady. They look like they could actually be siblings. And he's going to talk to her about the conflict that he and Stormy are having about expanding their family. So they start out talking about the woes and difficulties of raising children as a single parent. And what it's like to grow up as a child of a single parent. His mom expressed some of the concerns and issues that she had, some of the financial struggles that she went through. And she said, though it was very, very difficult, and there were times where she had to pray and ask God, am I going to make it through this? They made it through. And so Courtney's mom presented to him the question, do you think that your abandonment issues and you feeling like you were abandoned by your father, is that what you think is contributing to you not wanting any more kids right now? And I'm going to tell y'all, this scene about broke me down. This scene about broke me down, okay? Courtney became very emotional when his mom hit that nerve. His mom reminded him that before he ever became a parent, he told his mom that if he ever had kids, he would be the best father that he could be. And she reminded him that he is being the best father he can be. She told him that she was very proud of the kind of connection that he had with his son, especially knowing that he didn't have that with his dad. And he just broke down crying. I think it speaks to a much bigger issue that is very prevalent, very present, where there is a whole generation of men and women who have had to figure out how to be the parents that they never had. Courtney said that in regard to his father, he just feels like he missed out on everything. And I think him becoming a father, when you become an adult and you heal that inner child, or you become a parent to a child, you really realize just how much you missed. And when he says to his mom, you know, I just feel like he missed everything, his mom said, yeah, he did, but that's his loss, not yours. He talked about how hard it was to grow up playing team sports and see his teammates with their dads, and he didn't have one. And he had to teach himself how to play basketball and how to show up in the world as a man. And that shit is heartbreaking. And now his father has passed away, and he said, you know, he just wishes that things could have been better while he was alive, because he feels like there was so much that was missed, and there's still so much that needed to be discussed and needed to be said, and now that's gone. And after his mom comforts him and acknowledges his feelings, she says that, you know, it's totally okay for you to have your feelings, but you feeling how you're feeling is causing you to dismiss how Stormy is feeling. And part of marriage is compromise, where sometimes you're going to have to put your feelings aside in an effort to consider your partner's feelings. So then we move on. We see everybody setting up for the actual expo. Tisha arrives. She's ready to do the walkthrough on the venue as they're getting everything set up. They got a bunch of vendors that came in overnight, so now they're tight in this space. But when she walks over to Stormy setup, she said Stormy done took over the whole back corner. And the space that she took could have covered 2 to 3 vendors. So bad cop Martell arrives, and he started looking around, where's this and why this here, and why I ain't got 2 projectors and 1 screen, and can you go get me some answers? And did Stormy pay for a vendor spot? Tisha said, where the hell did you come from with all this damn energy? Where you been? And no, Stormy didn't pay for no damn vendor spot. Why? He said, because she need to. Tisha said, but Chocolate in a Bottle didn't pay for a vendor spot. He said, but Chocolate in a Bottle paid for most of this. See, this is the bullshit I knew was going to come up when they had every one of them damn meetings. Tisha said, Marcel, the thing is, when we had the meeting, we told everyone that they could have a vendor spot. We didn't tell anybody they had to pay for it. We did ask for sponsorship, but we didn't tell these people they had to pay nothing. You can't come in here the day of, but she need to run us some money. Marcel said, well, I thought we had talked about it. She said, no, we didn't. He said, well, we can just collect the money. She said, why The fuck will we do that? That is tacky as hell. Why would I walk around the day of and spring some fee on everybody? Why would I do that? Tisha said, look, you can go do it. I ain't doing that. This motherfucker said, okay, well, who do I talk to? The same people you just said you want money from. So Martell makes his way over to Stormy and like, oh yeah, you in there, ain't you, girl? Yeah, listen, did you get a chance to send over that money? She said, what money? You damn con man. What money? It's $100. What? Stormy said, nobody told me that. Why y'all didn't say that when we had the walkthrough, when we had the meeting, when y'all called me for this bullshit? Stormy said, yeah, you should have asked me about that long before today, because this is weird for you to be walking up to me asking me about $100. I mean, what in the crackhead hell? Stormy said, this is very low vibrational, and I think you're bigger than that. It's giving very much bait and switch, and I'd have told him to bait and switch his stuff out my face. So they called Tisha over. Tisha trying to look like she didn't know her husband was going over there with that bullshit. Stormy said, let me tell you what your husband just came over here and asked me. This motherfucker asked me for $100 out of the clear blue sky when y'all kept saying this was some volunteer shit. She said in the confessional, this should make all the sense in the world now. I see that this is how they do business, and that's why y'all came to me at the last minute trying to see if I could add value to y'all's event. But I tell you what, this will be the last value pack y'all get. She said, I'll never do business with Martell again. And the episode ends with her telling Martell, don't come at me about no $100 on the day of. Go to hell. And it looks like next week they're going to be having conversations and confrontations. We see that Courtney and Stormy are going to have a heart-to-heart about what his real issue is with expanding the family. And Martell and Mel's brother Marcus are going to be having a face-to-face. Finally, child, it's about to be a mess. But that's it, that's all. And I ain't got no more. Thank you so much for coming down here listening to me and letting me get this off my chest. Please be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe if you have not already. And in the meantime, until next time, just like every time, I love you and I mean it. Bye.